It is not looking good for Donald Trump as his physical and cognitive health continues to collapse rapidly before our eyes. Now we learn that Donald Trump saw 22 medical specialists during his semi-annual physical that he took in late May. 22 medical specialists. Just by comparison, George H.W. Bush saw 5 medical specialists. In 1989, George W. Bush was seen by 12 medical specialists, according to Donald Trump's former White House physician and doctor, Ronnie Jackson. During Trump's first term, he saw between 12 to 13 medical specialists. Donald Trump now almost seeing double that amount, 22 specialists. And what's fascinating is that when you look at Donald Trump's medical record, if you want to call that, I think they call it a memorandum from Donald Trump's physician, it's done in such a cursory fashion that you wonder, who are these 22 medical specialists? Why did he need basically double what he had during his first term? Does this relate to his cognitive decline and they're needed to administer numerous cognitive tests to see whether or not he has dementia or not, or the potential acceleration of it, of Alzheimer's, of any number of things that people suspect? I'm sharing an opinion as protected by the First Amendment of the Constitution, as others have, but doctors are deeply concerned about his deteriorating health. I mean, when we saw he went to that Knicks game and ruined it and continues to ruin the Knicks finals, when he was getting off Marine One, the helicopter, to get into Air Force One, once again, we saw that wobbling back and forth. He can't walk in a straight line. And not only can he not walk in a straight line, he doesn't even come close to walking in a straight line. And it is kind of obviously, deeply concerning. I mean, we talked about this when he was with Putin in August. He was on the red carpet with Putin. He could not walk in a straight line. When he was in Japan, he needed to be really walked by the Prime Minister Takaishi. And people living with dementia often cannot walk in a straight line as the brain changes. It loses the ability to properly send messages to muscles. It makes it hard to keep balance, judge distance, and coordinate steps. Poor balance, shuffling steps, uneven step length, leaning, those are all things that I see with Donald Trump. The story about the 22 medical specialists comes from a recent Washington Post article talking about 22 medical specialists. It talks about how that's far exceeding anything that has ever existed before. The figure represents the most medical specialists to assess a president for a single visit. Note, Trump is also getting these physicals twice a year, as I noted before. As Dr. Jonathan Reiner, world-renowned cardiologist, explained, it's an extraordinary number, not normal. What specialists do they represent? Why so many? Now, White House officials said, no, it's just a complete and preventative evaluation. Sean Barbarella, the president physician, says he's in good health. The involvement of multiple specialists, 22, reflects a comprehensive multidisciplinary evaluation consistent with best practices for executive level medical care. We have nothing to hide, the official said. We're not hiding anything. The White House often declined to answer questions about Trump's MRIs, his CT scans. Trump's medical reports no longer include the common hair loss prevention drug that physicians said he routinely used during his first term in office. The whole thing had massive red flags. I mean, do you remember back on, well, first it was May 26, 2026 when he got the physical, and then the White House started posting images. Perfect bill of health. You asked all 22 doctors immediately after he left. They posted it at 10:05 a.m. Within a minute of him leaving, they said, perfect bill of health. You knew that, right? 1 minute, all 22 doctors. Perfect. Don't you want to wait to get the test results? I mean, I'm not trying to be all personal with you. I just got my annual physical the other day. There had to be blood work that was done, and you wait for the results. It's not perfect bill of health. That's not the way it works. But that's what he goes on to say. I don't have to belabor the point of what his medical report looks like that was released on May 29, 2026. Remember, they released it at midnight. They did a Friday midnight document dump. I went through and did a whole video on all the red flags that were raised there when I shared it with you. And then you saw his behavior in the White House yesterday. I mean, his behavior the day before that. Remember, he couldn't remember the name of the Lincoln Memorial. And he's like, the Lincoln. That's what he said when he was leaving the first Knicks game in Manhattan. Let's play it.
Like the promenade, we've got a promenade at the Lincoln Museum, at Lincoln, and you have to see this. This will be one of the most beautiful things. The Lincoln Memorial is going to be unbelievable.
Then in the Oval Office, when he was asked about inflation, I mean, again, the cognitive decline for him to, one of the things we call it disinhibition, right? That's what doctors call disinhibition. When he calls and he lashes out at the reporter, you piggy, you're the anger, disinhibition. Kristen Welker, when his face turned blood orange, blood red, and he walked out and he goes, "You're fake news, you're fake." Disinhibition. Now, he's always been a nasty guy. He's always been a despicable, nasty human. But the disinhibition, he can't even control it when he's in front of the world, like the Kristen Welker. I don't need to show that. You've seen that. But when he goes, I love inflation. I'm not even going to play the video. He said, I love inflation. I'll show you this clip where he's signing the executive order, and he signs the thing, and he's so impressed that he can do his signature. Biden couldn't do this. Biden couldn't do this. What? Sign your name? Yeah, I've seen Biden sign executive orders. And then the people around him, all these Republican leaders, by the way, who were in the camera with him when he said, I love inflation. I love that he said, I love inflation. I love the American people are suffering. And you have all the Republican leaders in the Senate and the House standing right behind him where he goes, I love inflation. Man, that is going to blast that on midterm commercials. I love inflation. As inflation hits 4.2%, and it'll be 5% by the midterms at least. Then Donald Trump's like, Biden wouldn't do this. He needed a machine. Here, I'll play this clip for you right here so you can see for yourself.
He wouldn't do this.
No, he wouldn't. He needs a machine.
That's the real deal right there. Okay.
Or when Donald Trump believed that he had 1 million people show up to his events, more than Martin Luther King. I'll just show this. Let's play it.
It's really beautiful. It's something for you to see. It's incredible. It's the longest pool in the world by 3 or 4 times. It's really pretty amazing. That's where Martin Luther King made his great speech. And they say he had 1 million people. And I made a speech there for July 4th a few years ago. And they said, and I was packed. And they said, I had 25,000 people. They said he had 1 million. But when you look at the picture, I said, well, wait, the people were even tighter at mine. I had more people than him, but they said I had 25,000 and he had 1 million. But I'm not going to argue with Martin Luther King because I don't know.
So then we had Midas Health leader, Dr. Gupta, and I asked him, I said, tell me about what Trump's sleeping all the time. Does that concern you as a pulmonologist? As a world-renowned pulmonologist, does that bother you that Trump continues to sleep all the time? Play this clip.
Number 3, I would just say that, we talk a lot about him being sleepy in these Oval Office meetings, whether he has a healthcare executive or whether he has the Department of Interior behind his seat behind the Resolute desk. He was just sleeping, very clearly falling asleep for periods of time. Even if the White House wants to deny it, it's obvious. I'll say this as a pulmonologist. I worry. I mean, we need to understand why is somebody so sleepy for multiple periods of time throughout the daytime hours. That's not normal. That is not a normal, they're just 80 years old. That's okay to fall asleep in the middle of the day. No, usually there's an explanation for that. And so what is the explanation? They like to parry it away that he's, the chief executive of the country, and therefore that explains that away. I'm not so sure that does. His working hours are pretty limited based on his White House schedule that's reported out. He is falling asleep in front of the camera repeatedly. And I worry about, does he have a sleep disorder? Does he have sleep apnea? He's clearly overweight, if not obese, even though they like to fudge his vital signs and his overall biometrics. I do worry, does he have sleep apnea? And there's just not either testing for it or they're not being completely transparent about his healthcare.
Or Dr. Reiner looking at Trump's medical reports where they say, the hand is just caused by lots of handshakes. That's why he has the weird bruising. Dr. Reiner, let's play it.
In my hands, I was combing over it. I know I wanted to talk to you about this. So Dr. Reiner, much has been made of the president's hand bruising, which is usually covered up by makeup. And I want to just talk about a portion of this medical summary because it states that it is consistent with minor soft tissue irritation related to frequent handshaking. What's your take?
Right. Well, I suppose that can happen, particularly if you're on a higher dose of aspirin than we typically recommend,
which they say
for a patient for cardiovascular protection. But it doesn't explain why his left hand is also bruising, unless he's doing some left-handed shaking routinely and vigorously. So that's never really rung true. And perhaps it's all just because of this higher dose of aspirin. But my question is, why are you taking a higher dose of aspirin than recommended?
And then you have leaders on Capitol Hill saying 25th Amendment, 25th Amendment, like Democratic Congressmember Ted Lieu. Here's what Congressmember Lieu had to say. Let's play it.
Thank you, Chairman Aguilar. The President of the United States is not well. We can see it with our own eyes. He has tremendous difficulty staying awake on the job. Donald Trump has repeatedly fallen asleep at multiple cabinet meetings, at multiple White House events, at a Memorial Day ceremony, and most recently at a very loud and raucous New York Knicks San Antonio Spurs game last night. The White House needs to come clean to the American people. They need to explain why Donald Trump keeps going to the hospital and why they keep giving him cognitive tests. The American people deserve the truth.
Right? So 22 medical specialists. Within a minute of him leaving, he said perfect bill of health. And he's continued to make posts. I'm in great health. I'm in great health. We saw him sleep at the Knicks game. He fell asleep at the game. Cursed the Knicks also. Fell asleep at the game. You judge for yourself. And he stuffed his face with the burgers and the hot dogs and the fries. It seemed like he ate like 3 burgers, like 2 hot dogs, 2 tubs of fries. I'm not judging. I'm just saying. And then in his medical report, they're like, he weighs 230. That dude weighs 320 pounds, in my opinion. Anyway, 230. Anyway, hit subscribe. Let me know what you think. Let's get to 7 million. Thanks for watching.
Want to stay plugged in? Become a subscriber to our Substack at MeidasPlus.com. You'll get daily recaps from Ron Filipkowski, ad-free episodes of our podcast, and more exclusive content only available at MeidasPlus.com.